Good evening, everyone. Thank you so very much for tuning in to Wisdom's Way, Women Inspired for Excellence. Today we have a wonderful guest with us. We're so excited to have Miss Nikole here, founder of KoiNik Studios and the author of two amazing books, Sis, You're Amazing, and Bruh, Be Amazing. Please, please give a hand of applause for my guest, Miss Nikole. Welcome, Nikole. Nikole.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So let's just go ahead and start. So would you mind telling your audience a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. I am a former homeschooling mother of five. I have a 2 degrees in communications because I love to communicate. um, I have worked in the financial industry for a while. I have a poetic empowerment book that I published 10 years ago, and I'm also not just an author and a learning and development leader, but a poet and a public speaker.
Wonderful. Awesome. So being that your books were created for people of color
Mhm.
and the niche within itself is untapped, can you please tell me a little bit about what inspired you to create such dynamic and unique literature?
That sounds wonderful. So actually, someone asked me to make um, a a coloring page for them. So I went on this deep dive to learn how to make the coloring page. And when I made it, I was like, I like this. And then a brother of mine gave me like a mandate. And at this time, it was probably like January. And he saw my coloring pages and he says, Sis, he was like, Black History Month. You got to get this out for Black History Month.
Wow.
And so I was like, that's amazing. And so I like feverishly started trying to create different images. And I'm actually a writer. So um, putting those things together, it was amazing. I was impressed with myself. But that is really how it came to the point where I created the books, a little bit of pressure and creativity that I loved exploring.
Well, it is very impressive hearing you share that. But I have a question to you. So did you actually illustrate the pictures, or did you have someone illustrate them for you?
So I on the original level, I created them, and then I had someone in Illustrator to make sure that those things that I really want to put, things that I couldn't put in there that I wanted put in there. That's what a graphic artist that used Illustrator did for me.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
So, what do the titles of your book, Sis, You're Amazing, and Bruh, Be Amazing, mean to you? And how did you come up with those titles?
I came up with the title because in the beginning, my thoughts for the coloring pages were just to have a girls' night. So the
Mhm.
first book that was made was Sis, and it was Sis, You're Amazing. Anyone who knows me, I used to always say, Be amazing or You're amazing all the time. So this was Sis, You're Amazing. When I began to create the book for the gentleman, because I created the girls, I'm like, I have 4 sons. I have to create something like for the guys. It was bruh, be amazing. And the
Mhm.
reason it's you're amazing versus be amazing is because of the way that the world kind of handles each one of us different. And I feel like when it comes to young ladies, that there's a beautiful part in you that you really have to find. And for the guys, it's like, bring it out, bring it out. Even when I'm talking to my sons or other young men, it's like, bring it out. You are this and act like it. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, so
Don't
that's,
our young men need to be encouraged in such a manner?
say that again.
I said, don't our young men need to be encouraged in such a manner?
Yes. And it's almost as if, like when I talk about emotional intelligence or integrity or any of these things in the book, they already know what that is, but they have to be reminded that this is a part of them. Even restraint, self restraint is a part of them. And so that's why I love that. Like, no, no, be what you are. Come forth and be what you are. And with the young ladies, sometimes the world, I feel like we're very sensitive to a lot of things. And we have to prioritize what to keep our minds on so that we can stay strong. So the inner lovings that's in the girl book is like, hey, You're amazing. Pull out those parts of yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
It's wonderful to have to still see that there are people out there that do care about the younger generation. Matter because they really do. And I think it's just wonderful being able to have people that still encourage them. And I think that that's what I get from your books.
Oh, thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So, who is or are your favorite characters in your books and why?
So, my favorite characters in my book is really all of them because each image in some way speaks to somebody in my family.
Mm,
And so, all of the characters in there, like I said, I love all of them because they're a part of my life in some way. It is something somewhere that I've been, something that I've seen, something I've dealt with one of my children about. But my favorite image in the book, there's a image where there is a young man. He's sitting at a table and he has pencil and paper and some coins, and he's thinking about or daydreaming about owning a home. And for us, African American people, they bought 3% of homes last year. And so I want to make that something that's a little more normal to see,
mhm.
because there are benefits from owning real estate and owning it for years. So
Absolutely.
that's one of my favorite because it I think we think that it's harder than it has to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, when you're writing, what is the most surprising thing you've learned while writing your books?
Um, the most surprising thing that I've learned, I think, is the power of my mind,
Mhm,
because in order to write a book the way I wrote it, and everybody has their process,
mhm,
but the way that I wrote the book, my original thought was okay, um, do a little bit here, make time for a little bit here. And the more I got into it, the more I wanted a little bit more time and a little bit more time. And even the things that were going on in my life, I could actually probably manage them a little bit better because had such good energy flowing here, and my mind was kind of to get this done. It's like, okay, handle this properly in a short amount of time so you can get back over here. So I think understanding the power of my mind to discern as well as direct what's going in and out of it, I think that that was a very good exercise.
wow.
Mhm.
It sounds like it.
Mhm.
So, what parts of the book was the most fun to write for you?
The most fun parts to write are the affirmations that are under the pictures. I think those were the most fun because it's like in my head it's like do it, right? So that's like me throwing the words out there like do it, you know. And
Yeah,
I think that those are very fun because I feel like I'm an exhorter, I'm an encourager, different things like that. So that's me saying, hey, keep your head up, do this, but in a short way
mhm.
instead of kind of like a studied long way. So I think that's the best part.
Wow, that was going to be my next question. So,
Yeah.
have you ever taken the time out to reread your books? And as you're rereading your books, you get re-encouraged again,
Yes.
or encouraged all over again?
I really do. I really do. And I remember early on reading it and I was like, you did that.
Wow,
And so because they are really foundational truths, and they're like the world is so crazy. There are things that you always just have to get back to.
absolutely,
Right. It's like return to the beginning. Like you just it's just the simple things. And I think that those are the great reminders. No matter how old you are or what you're going through, you still have to remember those things.
absolutely, without a doubt, without a doubt.
It's,
Wonderfully, wonderfully said, by the way.
thank you.
So, which characters do you personally relate to? I know you shared earlier about there's characters within your books that relate to your family, but for you personally,
Mhm.
which characters would you say you relate to mostly?
The ones I relate to most, there is I love to sing. I love to sing. And so there is an image of a young lady, and and she's on a stage and she's singing. And the kind of backstory about that is I've always loved to sing, but it seemed like nobody cared that I loved to sing. I had a very popular cousin, and everybody loved to hear him sing. So I was kind of like the little cousin in the background. They're like, "Oh yeah, 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 you're the little cousin."
Wow.
And so, and I was like, okay. And I think that as I was able to grow older and even enjoy singing to my children, I sing more out now
Hmm.
than I did previously. And I think that that's part of my metamorphosis and my change in order for me to be more expressive. I think
Hmm.
that even with writing and, doing poetry, all of that kind of works together with your expression of your thoughts, your feelings, your release. So I think that that one kind of embodies me the most.
How about that? So, have you, outside of what we're discussing now, have you ever desired to pursue a singing career?
I have.
Okay.
I've desired to, but when I've tried to, I realized, girl, you just love to sing.
That's cute.
Like you don't want to be, you don't want nobody to tell you to do anything. I just love to sing. So, and I am a soloist, right? So
Okay.
sometimes people they don't need you to be a soloist. They need you to be, background and things like that. So
Mhm.
I'm able to be good at the things that I'm good at, and that's part of, like my hobbies when I travel, different things like that. So I love it. I have a microphone and an amplifier
How about that? Don't ever give up
in
that dream.
my sitting room.
Yeah, don't ever give up on that dream.
Yes,
You never know who's listening.
I know. Well, I know Yolanda Adams. She was a school teacher. I was
Mhm.
like, well, maybe I'll sing the song and somebody will discover me, and I'll put all my books in their city.
How about that?
How about that?
So cute. Okay, so if you could meet your characters, and I know it may sound like I'm asking the same questions, but I just kind of want to get familiar with the characters in there and let the audience also get familiar.
Okay.
Because I'm sure there's some characters in there that which they can relate to. But if you could meet your characters, what would you say to them?
I would say to my characters, you got this. I would say you got this
Mhm.
because whether we're talking about the girl's book or the guy's book, there are places in the book where I'm trying to connect. I'm trying to connect brain to brain and heart to heart in order for the value to be seen.
Sure.
And a lot of times we think we're showing the value, but we're really not. We're not showing the core value. We might show the value that seems popular outwardly,
Mhm.
but there is an inward value that we need to prioritize a little more. I
Absolutely.
want people, and that's the part that makes us resilient. That's the part that makes us strong. That's the part that gets us through. And when we're able to kind of pull that forth and not be afraid with that, and I'll be like, okay, you got this.
Absolutely.
We can go in a strength that, that no one can even give to us.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I think it's so important to embrace who we are, not in
Yes.
an unhealthy manner,
Mhm.
but recognizing that inward beauty, there's nothing wrong with it, especially if you're expressing it
Yes.
in a healthy way and not in a selfish way. Because I think the more that we love
Mhm.
ourselves, we can express that love to other people in such a more healthy way.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
and that love is, I think sometimes we get confused with that love being, let's buy this, let's pamper this. No, love is keeping yourself out of trouble.
absolutely. And love is conditional. Love
Yeah.
is, it's one of those things. I may not like what you've done, but it
Mhm.
doesn't stop me from loving you. Love is a choice,
Yeah.
right? And love is unconditional,
Mhm.
you know. But it is, it's part making the right decisions, exercising self-control, you
Yeah.
know, knowing that you matter enough so that you don't get into trouble
Yeah.
or you don't mingle with the wrong company,
Right.
you know. So it does matter. It's dynamic. I love your books. I love the concept. I love everything about it, especially the encouragements for the young ladies and the young men. Definitely something, a message that they need to hear. So, getting back to your book, what came first for you when writing your books? Was it the plot or the characters?
Um, I would say what came first. I would say what came first probably is the plot, the things that I wrote. Because I'm a writer, I'm always having these thoughts like daily that I'm writing down. And then I feel like the images would come after I'm secure about what I wanted to say. And so then that's where the crafting actually happens because I'm more of a writer than a graphic designer.
Mhm.
So that's the more challenging part for me. But I feel like the writing and knowing what it is that I want to give to the audience would come first before the images.
Awesome.
Mhm.
So, how long did it take you to write your book, or the coloring books?
The coloring books, it took probably about 6 weeks.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
And it took 6 weeks. And keep in mind that I was a learning and development leader at Schwab. So I was impacted by layoff. So even though it took 6 weeks, it's 6 weeks of me working from from um, you know in the mornings and the evening. So
Sure.
I was able to put in a lot of hours in a short amount of time. So it's not something, and I have tapped into trying to create more books. And because I'm
Mhm.
doing so many other things, it is not as easy to tap into that part of myself. So I don't know if it'll take 6 weeks for me to do any other books, but those books are not, they're not, they're literally pages that I have created and with an illustrator for the purpose of what it says, exactly who I am and the people that I love are. So it's not like I just picked these images up from somewhere. No, 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 no. They were specifically made for this book and for everything that's written in it.
That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. So I'd heard you say earlier that you home educated your boys, your children.
Yes. Mhm.
So did you home educating your children, was that inspiration for you to go ahead and create the coloring books? Or part of the inspiration rather?
I feel that home educating my children actually gave me a lot of knowledge and a lot of tools. And in that time, I was able to tap into a lot of writing. So it's not the reason why, but I think that I'm the reason why. I don't know if that makes sense. So it's like it gave me so much, even having responsibility and passion and different things like that. All of that rolled up and said, inside of me and said, "Ooh, this will be good right here. This will be good right here. This will be good right here." So they've been out of the home educating space for a number of years.
Mhm.
So, but that part of me loving to teach them and bond with them and give them instruction and try to figure out ways for me to connect with them, that's still very much alive right now. And even when my children get older, it's gonna still be alive when I have grandchildren because it's become so much a part of myself.
Absolutely. I understand exactly. I
Yeah.
too was in home educating mother
Mhm.
for many years. So I understand it's a totally different experience.
Mhm.
It's a very personal experience, very much engaging in what it is, the content that the children are learning.
Mhm.
To me personally, my experience is that I think home education is the best fit education for children.
Yeah.
And I only say that because that child can learn at his or her own pace without the
Mhm.
distractions of, regular academic arena. So,
Mhm. Can I add something to that?
absolutely.
One thing that I 110% what you just said because um, when we think of just the fact that sometimes our children are moving past when like if they're in school, they're moving past before they need to move past, and they may not have this strong, or people are doing all kind of things, and your child may not be ready to be exposed to that. It, I think, is so safe. And I think that for homeschooling parents, especially the ones that are engaged, you develop a certain type of empathy, ability to juggle, leadership skills,
Absolutely.
ability to teach and train, and to be aware. I would fall asleep with my clothes on because I would be so tired,
Oh,
but I
understand.
would wake up, good morning, in my disposition. And I feel like that has been very beneficial to me as I've even, when I did return to corporate.
Mhm.
It makes amazing leadership skills in the parent that says, you know what, I'm going to take on all the responsibility. I'm going to be the cafeteria person, I'm going to be the principal, I'm going to be the teacher, I'm going to be
Absolutely.
the custodian.
Absolutely.
I'm going to entertain after 2:23. All of that. I'm
Absolutely.
a field trip maker, I'm the bus person.
Everyone,
Yes,
every hat in the academic arena would
yes,
become when we make that choice to be home educators. But
yes.
it's the most
It makes
fun, I
you
think,
amazing.
rewarding. Yeah. I'm sorry, did you say rewarding at the same time?
No, I said it makes you amazing, but
Yeah, absolutely.
rewarding as well.
It's very rewarding, I think.
Mhm.
I wouldn't change it for the world. You
Yes.
know, definitely do it all over again.
Mhm.
So, how long? So, did you self-publish your books, or did you go through a traditional publisher?
I self-published my book. I didn't go through a traditional. I felt like I wanted to, but
Mhm.
someone had told me that if I did not self-publish, then if I made it big or someone a big person liked my book, I would have to ask for the rights of my book from that entity. And I was like, nah. And that's what made me self-publish.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Interesting. So, once you generate, from what I understand about copyrights and such, intellectual property, once
Mhm.
you create that property, it is yours. Um, you know,
Mhm.
so I'm not really too thoroughly knowledge on the
Mhm.
process of a traditional publisher.
Mhm.
But if I were to, being an author myself, if I were to do it all over again, that publishing process, I would self-publish myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we've discussed that, some
Yeah.
obstacles and things like that. So it's definitely changed my perspective. So then if I were to write another book, I definitely would do self-publishing.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So so where can the audience buy your book?
So my book can be purchased at KoiNikStudios.com. That's KoiNik Studios.com. And that's my personal website. It can also be my name, which is Koi Nikole, KoiNikole. And you can put that also in Amazon, and it'll come up and you'll have all of my books, including my poetic empowerment book called The Phoenix Awakens.
Wonderful. Do you have copies of your coloring books? They're amazing. I think the audience would really love to see a copy of them.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So, this is going to be a copy of the girls' book. And this is Sis Be Amazing. The pop copy. Let's move it over here a little bit. So, this is a copy of the girls' book. And these are some of the, let's see if we can get a couple of images of the girls' book in here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I have copies, by the
Yeah.
way.
And so then we have the boys' book as well. And they're very strong, um, trying to get it in here, but very strong African American images. And then they have young men's rules for engagement. So even if you wanted to use it as a character development book, you can use that too, so that maybe you guys can have conversations and use the coloring to reduce stress, increase focus, and calm the body and brain. For anyone who likes color.
Wonderful. So I heard you mention your other book, which was my next question.
Okay.
Do you have any other additional books that you have written that we haven't discussed yet? Would you like to share a little bit about the Phoenix?
Sure. So those are my original two coloring books. I was asked to create multicultural books. So these are two of the multicultural books. This is the girls, Crown and the Real You, and the boys is Grounded and Going Places. And I kind of created this to actually go in the schools. And then my last book is going to be my poetic empowerment book that I spoke of. Let's see, right over here. Okay. And
Wonderful.
this is the Phoenix Awakens. So
Wonderful. Congratulations. It looks like you have wonderful books now. Will all of your books be available on your website?
all of my books will be available on my website. The Phoenix Awakens, Sis, You're Amazing, and Bruh Be Amazing are available on Amazon.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, what was the most difficult part of the writing process for you in any of your books?
The most difficult part of the writing process, I think when it came to the Phoenix Awakens, I knew that I had something inside of me, but I could not get it out. So, what I did with that book is I made myself commit to writing once a day on my 10-minute break. And so when I did that, eventually, that's the book that took me a year. Eventually, it started getting good to me where I would go from my 10-minute break to my lunch, which is 30 minutes. And then it started to go after work. And I think that sometimes the hardest part is getting started and being committed to seeing it through. So I think that when I got to the point, it's almost like I was mandated to write it from within, and then it's like, but now I'm enjoying writing it. And so I think that whenever we have to start something, that sometimes is the most challenging place, and then it gets to a place where we love it. It's a part of us. We doing this, you know.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
with that being said, so how did you celebrate when you completed writing your books?
So when I've completed writing my books, the first thing I do is I go to dinner with my family. Go to dinner with my family and just talk about it and my process, but not so much my process, but just me being able to relax my shoulders and enjoy um, conversation and family and eating and things like that. And then the second thing I do is like go out with my friends. It's like I'm free, my brain is free, my heart is
Mhm.
free, and really that's how it feels when you kind of close the book or you receive your book in the mail and you're like done.
Yeah,
So
that's exciting. It's
it
very
is.
exciting,
It's,
very exhilarating. So, let me ask you this question. So, if you could spend the day with a whole day with another popular author, who would it be and why?
mm, what would I say? I would say, as I was thinking of this, I would say there's a lady named Patricia Evans,
Mhm.
and she has some empowerment books, and I would love to have some time with her to understand what was the catalyst to make her um, write her books because she has a book that I think it's like and this is kind of not about coloring books, but I'm answering the question.
Mhm.
So it's about, I think it's called Verbal Abuse Survivors Speak Out.
Mhm.
And I remember reading her book, and it was just so amazing that I really wanted to know like what made her write this book. And my book, The Phoenix Awakens, because it seemed like she could walk someone through an experience by them reading to make them feel like that they were not alone. I feel
Interesting.
like I wanted to do the same thing for the Phoenix Awakens. So even though it's poetry, I've tried to write it in a way where if someone is ever dealing with someone with controlling behaviors, that they're able to see that this is not you're not crazy, you're not alone.
That's
And
right.
someone understands how you feel, whether it's you know, a spouse, a partner, a mom, a dad, a coach, because sometimes coaches are controlling too,
Absolutely.
you know,
Absolutely.
whoever, a cousin, a big sibling, you know, that you would feel that that you rock with that. So I would like to know, like, I would like to have had that experience with her and how she looked at that.
That's a wonderful thing, and it's a very powerful message that you just shared because abuse is suffered by so many people,
Yeah,
and there's so many people that suffer in silence. And
yeah,
if we could come together as a community and say, "Hey, you're not alone," and if
mhm,
somebody have enough courage to stand up against the abusers,
right,
on behalf of the victim,
yes,
I think the world would definitely be a better place. But it sounds like that's a wonderful, wonderful book, a very empowering book. It sounds like a dynamic um, author as well.
thank you.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. So, would you? What kind of advice would you give to someone who is interested in writing a book?
Mm, what kind of advice would I give to someone? Well, I would give them the advice of write. Just write. Just keep writing. Just keep writing, keep writing,
Mhm.
keep writing. I would also add, like, get a book. Get like a main place that you're writing. Because me personally, I have index cards and sticky notes everywhere, and that does not work. It doesn't. So if you put it in the book, then everything that it'll help you to streamline your thoughts, to explode your creativity, to be able to go back and refer to things. That's the part of that I think that keeps everybody is to just write, even if it's a journal. Just
Mhm.
write, 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 write.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, do you utilize the brain mapping process?
I don't.
It's
I
pretty
don't.
interesting.
Okay.
I think, I guess it really depends on the type of book that you're interested in writing. Brain mapping is basically putting one thought in like a thought bubble, but it all leads back to the main plot. I guess would have you of the book that you're interested in writing.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty interesting. Um, I enjoy writing myself. I've been writing pretty much all my life. But I actually published my first book in 2011. I completed it in 2009 and went through the traditional publishing process out of 2010.
Okay.
And I utilized, the brain mapping, the writing process, and things like that. But I find writing myself very invigorating. I don't know about you, but in as much, do you have any words that of encouragement or quotes that you like to live by that maybe we could leave the audience with?
You know, I do. And so it's just I'm gonna say it and it sounds so cliche. I know I've said it 100 times today, but continue to be amazing.
Amazing.
That's exactly what I would leave you with. To
Absolutely.
continue to be amazing.
And never be afraid to maximize your full potential.
Yes. Yes. And
Yeah,
and know that you have full potential. You really do.
absolutely.
You really
Absolutely.
do.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yes.
Well, Miss Nikole, it has been such a pleasure having you as a guest here on our premiere of Wisdom's Way, Wisdom Inspired for Excellence business segment. I
Yes.
would love to have you back sometime in the future, if that's okay with you.
It is. And thank you so much for having me. My absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
And my pleasure likewise. Thank you so very much, Miss Nikole. I look forward to speaking with you soon.
Okay. Speak
Thank
with
you
you.
again. And
You're
thank
welcome.
you, audience, for joining us on today's broadcast of Wisdom's Way, Women Inspired for Excellence, our business forum. We'll look forward to seeing you next time. God bless you.
Bye.
Thank you, Miss Coy.
Thank you.
All right, bye bye.